Early in the morning, the North Zealand police receive a disturbing call. A frightened female voice says she wants to report something, but the call is suddenly cut off. Cecilie Wintergense lives in one of the affluent neighborhoods in the northern part of Copenhagen. On her way home, she notices that the neighbor's nanny, Ruby, is throwing something into another neighbor's trash bin. Cecilie and her husband Mike work a lot, so they get help with their 2 children, son Vigo and little daughter Vera, from their live-in nanny Angel. Today they are hosting Oscar, the neighbor's son. He and Vigo are classmates. Ruby, the neighbor's nanny, joins them for dinner. Both she and Angel came from the Philippines under a special program. The contract lasts 2 years. Mike as usual is late due to his heavy workload. That same evening, Cecilie is visited by her neighbor Katarina Hoffman, who recently returned from Paris with her husband. Like Cecilie, Katarina works a lot, and Ruby looks after her son, Oscar. The women chat about work and family life over a glass of wine, while the nannies clean up the kitchen. Ruby looks sad. Angel assumes it's because she's homesick. Before Cecilie goes for her evening run, Ruby approaches her and says she needs help. She can no longer stay with Katarina and Rasmus. Confused, Cecilie advises her to talk to them if something is wrong. Ruby thanks Cecilie for her kindness and leaves. As usual before bedtime, Cecilie goes for a run while Angel puts Vigo to sleep. More than anything, Angel dreams of becoming independent and starting her own business. After showering, removing her makeup and taking a sleeping pill, Cecilie gets ready for bed. Her husband Mike returns late, when she's already asleep. Overall, the family's life continues as normal. In the morning, barely finishing breakfast, Mike rushes off to work again. Katarina arrives and announces that Ruby has gone missing. Her phone is off. Angel takes Vigo to school. She's very worried about Ruby's disappearance. It's not like her. In the middle of the workday, Cecilie gets a call from Katarina, who says Ruby still hasn't shown up. Katarina and Rasmus have such tight schedules that they can't even pick up their son from school. Cecilie suggests that Angel pick up Oscar as well. Mike is the lead attorney at Rasmus's firm, but beyond business, they're also friends. Today they agree to have dinner together. After her run, Cecilie goes to Katarina's place. Their husbands haven't arrived yet. Katarina shares a theory that Ruby was an undocumented migrant and decided to flee. But why now? Soon Mike and Rasmus join them. Cecilie suggests calling the police, but Rasmus objects, saying Ruby is an adult and has only been gone for a day. Cecilie remembers how Ruby was throwing something into a neighbor's trash the day before. She's surprised to learn that neither Katarina nor Rasmus have checked whether Ruby's belongings are still there. Everything is indeed in place, her passport and cash included. So Ruby didn't run away. Cecilie can't stop thinking about it, while the others don't seem particularly concerned about Ruby's disappearance. At home, Angel asks Cecilie if there's any news. It's obvious that something bad has happened to Ruby. Cecilie assures her that if Ruby doesn't show up by morning, Katarina and Rasmus will go to the police. Angel can't hold back her tears, not understanding why Ruby's employers still haven't filed a report with the police. Unable to sleep, Cecilie goes out at night to check the trash bin and finds a pregnancy test box. Suddenly Rasmus appears, walking his dog. Cecilie lies, saying the bin is already empty. Right now she just wants to make sure Rasmus and Katarina call the police in the morning. At home, Cecilie tells Mike about what she found. Clearly Ruby didn't want anyone to find the pregnancy test. And Cecilie feels that Rasmus is involved. Mike asks his wife to stop, insisting that it's none of their business. 2 days pass since Ruby's disappearance. The North Zealand police begin an investigation, finding it suspicious that Rasmus Hoffman, who filed the report, doesn't seem upset about what happened. He is the most obvious suspect. Detective Isha Peterson comes to the Hoffman's house to talk to Ruby. Katarina reluctantly lets her in. During the conversation, Katarina keeps getting distracted by her dog. According to Katarina, nothing suspicious happened on the day Ruby disappeared, nor the day before. There are no leads yet, but the police will try to trace Ruby's phone. However, Katarina clearly doesn't care. She doesn't even remember Ruby's full last name. It has been established that Ruby's last phone call was made to the police. There is a recording in which Ruby claims to be in danger, and then abruptly hangs up. Even at work, Cecilie can't stop thinking about Ruby's disappearance, and neither can Angel. She feels that Katarina and Rasmus don't care about what happened to Ruby. Could they be hiding something? Oscar enjoys spying on people with his drone, and he doesn't hide it from Vigo. In a moment of anxiety, Cecilie calls Mike. He urges his wife to calm down, saying the pregnancy test could have belonged to anyone. Later, Cecilie asks Angel if Ruby had been seeing anyone in Denmark. Angel replies that it's unlikely, since Ruby is engaged, her fiancé is waiting for her back in the Philippines. Cecily offers to look over Angel's business plan and gives her some useful feedback. At one point Cecily breaks down crying. After Vigo's birth, she went through severe depression and still doesn't know how to connect with him. Angel on the other hand gets along with the boy very well, having essentially become a second mother to him. As always Cecily goes for her evening run before bed. Sleeping pills are Cecily's only salvation. Still caring for her daughter doesn't feel like a burden. Detective Aisha Peterson has no doubt that Ruby's disappearance is a crime. The fact that all her belongings were left behind, and the call to the police confirm this. But her colleague Carl suggests that Ruby may have staged it all to throw them off and go into hiding. Aisha isn't convinced and goes to the Winter Genze house to speak with Cecily. It turns out someone had previously called the police from the Winter Genze residence to complain about noise at the Hoffman's house. Cecily hears about this for the first time and assumes it might have been Angel. The nanny confirms it, saying she was worried about Ruby, who had called and said Katerina and Rasmus had had a serious fight. Cecily recalls that on the night before Ruby vanished, they had dinner together and Ruby looked sad. Cecily also mentions that before leaving, Ruby asked if Cecily could help her quit working for the Hoffmans. Ruby has another friend in Denmark, Kim Flores, and Detective Peterson intends to speak with her. Cecily hesitates whether to tell the detective about the pregnancy test but ultimately keeps it to herself. Detective Peterson leaves her card and departs. Angel begs Cecily not to tell Katerina about the phone call. Cecily promises she won't. Later, Katerina and Cecily meet at an open-air cafe on the pier. Cecily knows that Katerina and Rasmus, who have been married for 15 years, are having problems, even if they try to hide it in public. Katerina assures her friend that everything is fine and that things got better after their trip to Paris. Detective Peterson returns to the Hoffmans' home, but this time she wants to speak with Rasmus. Katerina is openly annoyed by the police's continued interference. Rasmus, however, remains calm, understanding that the detective is just doing her job. He has an alibi, he was at a business dinner that day, which several people can confirm, and returned home late. Katerina claims that all migrant women come to this country with the same goal, to earn money and find a husband. Perhaps Ruby found a better paying side job, and all those times she said she was going to church, she was actually going somewhere else? Aisha finds Kim Flores' social media profile. The workday is long over, but Aisha has nothing in her life besides work. In one of the photos Ruby appears alongside Kim, wearing a red, provocative dress. That evening, Angel talks on the phone with someone who urges her to ask Cecily for 2 months' pay in advance. Angel really doesn't want to do it, but she needs the money. Tonight, the Winter Genzes and the Hoffmans are going out to dinner while the kids stay under the nanny's care. In Cecily's presence, Oscar openly insults Ruby, saying that his mother feels the same way. Angel approaches Cecily and awkwardly asks for 2 months' pay in advance. She refuses to say why she needs the money so urgently. Cecily says it's inconvenient for her to pay that much ahead of time. Cecily thinks she should have told the police about the pregnancy test. She plans to go to the station tomorrow. But Mike doesn't think it's a good idea and asks his wife not to get involved. Detective Peterson arrives at Kim Flores' address. There's a party going on inside, mostly attended by migrants, possibly undocumented. At one point Aisha thinks she sees Ruby. Despite protests from Kim and the other guests, Aisha goes inside, but the girl turns out not to be Ruby. Nevertheless, the detective demands everyone present show their identification and calls for backup. While the Winter Genzes and the Hoffmans prepare for a dinner with Rasmus's business partners, the officers who have arrived are checking the documents of all migrants. Rasmus raises a toast to his best friend and lawyer, to Mike. At night, Vigo comes into Angel's room and gives her some money, allegedly gifted to him for his birthday. He just doesn't want the nanny to leave. Making sure no one hears them, Rasmus tells Cecily not to mention the pregnancy test to the police. He assures her that the test has nothing to do with him, but he fears the press will blow it into a scandal, since Ruby used to live in their house. Besides, Cecily is part of their world, so they have to stick together. Cecily faces a difficult choice. She starts having nightmares, thinking she could have somehow helped Ruby. Using the baby monitor, Cecily overhears Rasmus telling Mike to make sure she keeps quiet. Mike also realizes that going to the police in this situation could have serious consequences and would inevitably damage the Hoffmans' reputation. Cecily says nothing to Mike about what she knows. Because of Aisha's actions, a woman who had nothing to do with the case is deported. She was undocumented. While out for a run, Cecily finally calls Detective Peterson, saying she has something to report. She then goes to the police station and tells the detective about the pregnancy test. Perhaps something happened that made Ruby want to leave. Cecily really doesn't want to gossip about her friends, but she can't help mentioning that nannies never stay long with the Hoffmans. And she suspects that this time, it might also be because of Rasmus. Angel meets with Darna to get help sending money to the Philippines. It turns out that shortly before she disappeared, Ruby had also asked Darna for help finding a new host family. Ruby explained it by saying that Oscar had already grown up. This is the first time Angel hears about it. On her way home, Cecily crosses paths with the Hoffmans. It takes great effort to pretend that everything is fine. Even on weekends, Aisha keeps investigating. She shares Cecily's tip with her colleague Carl. What if Ruby got pregnant and Rasmus is the father? Aisha visits the church Ruby used to attend. But the priest refuses to say anything, citing the seal of confession. Oscar and Vigo are doing martial arts, and after class, they watch explicit videos with other boys from their class, videos they recorded themselves. The boys tell Vigo he needs to film something more interesting, or he'll be kicked out of their secret club. Mike asks his wife if she took the cash from their savings. Cecily denies it and mentions that Angel asked for a 2-month advance yesterday. The couple can't believe the nanny would steal from them, but Vigo might have. They ask their son directly if he took the money. At first the boy denies everything, but his parents know he's lying. Vigo admits that he gave the money to Angel, saying he was afraid she would leave, just like Ruby. The couple doesn't scold their son. Instead, they explain that sooner or later they'll have to say goodbye to Angel anyway because they're his parents and she is just a nanny. For the first time, Cecily tells her husband about her concern that she lacks emotional closeness with Vigo. Mike tells her to stop overthinking. She's been doing fine for a long time, and their life is running smoothly. Cecily directly asks Angel how she could take advantage of Vigo's naivety and accept money from him. And most importantly, what does she need that money for? Cecily won't let it go until she gets an answer. Angel confesses that she needs the money for her son's education. Cecily can't believe Angel deceived her, especially since the rules of the program clearly state that nannies can't have children of their own. In tears, Angel says she had no other choice, the program's rules are so unfair. She only wants a better life for her son. But Cecily no longer trusts the nanny, and from now on, Angel is required to maintain strict boundaries and not put Vigo to bed. Right now Angel's sister is taking care of her son, as well as their sick parents. Angel promises to send more money, even though she has no idea how she'll get it. During the church service, the priest prays for Ruby. After the service, Angel talks with other Filipino women who came to Denmark through the same program. One of them suggests she speak with Yuan. The Hoffmans come to the Winter Jenses for dinner. Michael has already told them that Angel took money from Vigo. Katerina doesn't hold back her indignation. Cecily takes Angel's side, saying it wasn't exactly theft. She also mentions that Ruby had secretly been looking for a new host family. But Katerina and Rasmus remain firm in their opinion, pointing out that their previous nanny used to steal their belongings and sell them. While Angel is cleaning, Vigo secretly records her on video and sends it to the group chat. Aisha is convinced the priest knows something and plans to summon him for questioning. But that will have to wait, because Ruby's bag has been found in the park. This discovery clearly does not bode well. Cecily doesn't feel supported by her husband and avoids him more and more. Running helps her distract herself. In his room, Vigo draws a picture of the park, the same one where Ruby's bag was found. Angel calls Yuan, Ruby's fiancé, and is surprised to learn that they broke up a week ago. Yuan believes Ruby met someone else in Denmark. As instructed by Cecily, Angel no longer puts Vigo to bed, which deeply upsets the boy. Cecily can't understand how her husband can keep covering for Rasmus when the life of an innocent girl might be in danger. She reveals that she told the police about the pregnancy test and says she doesn't regret it. Mike has nothing to say. Cecily senses that her husband is hiding something and asks him to go check on Vigo. Taking advantage of the moment, Cecily looks through Mike's phone and finds his messages with Ruby. When Mike returns to the bedroom, Cecily pretends nothing happened. However, the next day, Cecily decides to confront her husband. He denies there was anything between him and Ruby, insisting it was just texting, nothing more. Meanwhile, the police search the park. Mike and Rasmus as usual take their sons to martial arts class when suddenly Rasmus gets a message from Katerina saying that the police found Ruby's bag in the park. Rasmus directly asks Mike if there's something he needs to confess. Oscar shows Vigo something he says he won't upload to the chat. While watching the video, Vigo remains silent. When Mike picks up his son from school, he notices that Vigo seems upset. But Vigo says nothing. Inside Ruby's bag, the police find a hand-drawn sketch of a parallel parking setup, scribbled on the back of a luxury hotel's business card. Aisha immediately heads there. The staff recognize Ruby's photo. She had been there multiple times with a man in a fancy Porsche. Aisha is determined to find out who owns the car. While sunbathing in the yard, Cecily notices a drone in the sky, clearly Oscar's. Angel goes to church again, and afterward meets with her friends. They're all concerned about Ruby's fate. They don't believe she could have met someone else, she loved you on too much. Angel suggests organizing a search independent of the police. Kim, Darna and the others support the idea. Later, Angel asks Cecily for a day off to organize the search for Ruby. Cecily volunteers to join. In the park, Oscar and Vigo practice archery. At night, Vigo watches videos involving women that depict very inappropriate behavior. Cecily now puts her son to bed herself, but he still wants Angel to do it. Unfortunately, the hotel's security camera footage leads nowhere, but the police do manage to find that one of 4 matching cars is registered to Mike Winter Genze, who previously had a different last name and served time in prison 23 years ago for inappropriate conduct toward a woman. Vigo misses Angel, and it's affecting his mental state. Since Angel is organizing the search for Ruby today, Cecily drives Vigo to school herself. She's very surprised when Katerina also volunteers to join the search. Soon volunteers begin searching the area under the supervision of Detective Peterson. Katerina had assumed the police wouldn't be involved. Aisha once again tries to speak with the priest, explaining that they are most likely dealing with a crime. The priest finally admits that Ruby was pregnant, and that it happened against her will. But Ruby never revealed the name of the child's father. Aisha immediately informs Carl, believing that Mike was the father. He likely got rid of Ruby and dumped her bag in the park to make it look like an attack. Cecily confides in Katerina that she found Ruby's messages on Mike's phone. But Cecily has no idea whether there was actually an affair between them. The search leads nowhere. Before Cecily leaves, one of the girls asks her to say hi to Mike, he had been so kind to Ruby. In the evening, Angel, Kim and the other girls go out to a bar for a drink. On one hand, it's a relief they didn't find anything today. On the other, the uncertainty continues to eat Angel alive. The next day, Cecily receives a call from Detective Peterson at the office. She wants to talk again. They meet during Cecily's break. The detective asks her to recall the events of that evening in more detail. Cecily says Mike was late for dinner. As usual, he works a lot. The detective keeps asking leading questions. At some point, Cecily realizes it's because of Mike's criminal record. Yes, she knows about it. But he was very young, had no father, and his mother drank. That one incident made him change his life, get a law degree and leave the past behind. Detective Peterson reveals to Cecily that Mike had been seen with Ruby at a hotel several times that summer. Upon hearing this, Cecily barely manages to keep her composure. The realization of Mike's lies knocks the ground out from under her. When Mike returns home, Cecily demands an explanation. Mike replies that during the summer, when he and Ruby took Vigo to competitions, they sometimes stopped for coffee, that's all. But Cecily doesn't believe him, he's broken the law before. Mike is shocked that his wife suspects him and says he'll spend the night at a hotel. That same evening, Aisha receives a call, a drowned woman has been found. It could be Ruby. At that moment, Cecily is out for a run and sees the police. Mike can't sleep in the hotel. Vigo ignores messages from Oscar, who keeps texting him again and again. Katerina shows up at the Winter Genze house in tears. She tells Cecily that the police have found a woman's body. They now want Katerina to come to the morgue to identify it. Rasmus can't, he's on a trip to Stockholm, and Katerina is terrified of dead bodies. Cecily comforts her friend. They could ask Angel to do it, but Cecily thinks that would be too much and volunteers to go instead. Later, Vigo asks his mother if they can talk, but she's in a rush. At the morgue, Cecily identifies Ruby and breaks down in tears. The cause of death is drowning. It is also confirmed that Ruby was pregnant. A full autopsy report will be available tomorrow, but preliminarily there are no signs of trauma or struggle. Aisha asks the medical examiner if a DNA test can be done to determine the father. Cecily can't understand who could do such a thing. In any case, she's not going to lie and tells Detective Peterson honestly that she doesn't know what time Mike got home that night. She had taken a sleeping pill. Now Cecily has to tell Angel. The girl immediately calls Kim, sobbing, and says Ruby has been found dead. The death of the 22-year-old Nanny is now all over the news. The police have not yet released an official statement. While Aisha tries to contact Mike, Angel and the other girls mourn Ruby. Vigo calls his dad and asks to be picked up from school because his mom forgot. The boy senses that his parents' relationship is crumbling, even though they're doing their best to pretend everything's fine. Mike is already aware that Ruby's body has been found. At home, Cecily asks him directly if he is the father of Ruby's child. Mike denies it. The couple begins to argue, right in front of Vigo. Cecily no longer believes Mike and kicks him out. That evening, Cecily is visited by Katerina, who insists that Mike is surely not involved. Right now they all need to stay strong for the sake of their children. Things will get better soon. Vigo continues to ignore Oscar's messages. He doesn't know who to talk to, even Angel refuses to listen to him. Mike still won't answer the detective's calls. The next day, police come to the office and pull Mike out in the middle of a meeting. Detective Peterson says she's not leaving until Mike confirms his alibi. And if he isn't the father of Ruby's baby, nothing is stopping him from going to the station and submitting a DNA test. Angel is frustrated that during all their phone calls, her sister only talks about money. Earning money is hard for Angel, and she can't give her family more than what she earns. Mike presents Cecily with the DNA test results, confirming he is not the father. That means Mike is innocent. Now, because of Cecily's paranoia, they could lose everything. Rasmus's business partners surely didn't appreciate the police showing up in the office. Cecily can't understand how Mike can think only of himself when Ruby is dead. This leads to another fight between the spouses. Vigo withdraws further and avoids Oscar completely. When he ignores his teacher's request to put away his phone, the teacher walks over and takes it from his hands. What the man sees on the screen shocks him. Kala Hansen immediately calls Cecily. It is impossible to determine Ruby's exact cause of death, but there are no signs of violence. Carl holds the theory that Ruby may have voluntarily passed away. Aisha wants to find the man who rejected the young pregnant woman, but Carl says that is no longer a police matter. Rasmus agrees to cover all funeral and body transport expenses. This incident has damaged the Hoffmans' reputation, so Rasmus also wants to take a DNA test so that the police can make an official statement to the press denying his involvement. Kala Hansen tells Cecily that her son and several other boys in the class are in a group chat where obscene material is shared. One of the videos features Vigo's nanny. When Cecily sees the video, she says it's not their nanny, it's Ruby. The teacher calls the parents of the other boys in the chat. The boys had filmed not only girls in their class. Upon learning that Oscar filmed Ruby, Katerina says she also wants to see the video. Moreover, Oscar is the creator of the chat. Many parents insist that the police must be involved and that Oscar be suspended from classes. This enrages Katerina. She accuses the other parents of hypocrisy and slapping Kala Hansen with her purse, leaves. Cecily follows Katerina, not understanding what's come over her. Katerina does not consider her son's actions disgusting, and so Cecily states that Oscar and Vigo should no longer hang out. Vigo runs away from Oscar in the park, but Oscar catches him, threatening that if Vigo tells anyone about the video, it will be the end for him. Katerina also thinks that Oscar and Vigo should stop seeing each other. Cecily finds her son in the park. He looks depressed. Cecily wants to know what is going on. Vigo confesses that Oscar showed him a video not shared in the group chat. But the boy refuses to say what was in that video, fearing Oscar will carry out his threats. Cecily assures her son that she and his father will not allow anything to happen. However, Vigo continues to remain silent. After tucking her son into bed, Cecily goes to the kitchen and pours herself a glass of champagne, when suddenly someone throws a stone through the window. Cecily is on the brink of a panic attack. Katerina finds a hidden camera among her son's toys, exactly the one he used to spy on Ruby. One of the videos is particularly shocking. Cecily calls the police, believing that Katerina broke the window after their argument. She also shows Aisha the video of Ruby from the group chat and says there are much worse videos, but Vigo is too scared to say more. If Cecily officially files a complaint against Oscar with the police, Aisha will be able to obtain a warrant to access his gadgets. Cecily does exactly that, and on the same day Detective Peterson arrives at the Hoffmans' home with a warrant. Katerina does not have the right to prevent the police from entering. Of course, by that time, Katerina has already removed everything from Ruby's room. She also suspects that it was Cecily who filed the complaint, and shows up uninvited at the Winter Jenses. Cecily calmly says she did what she had to, and that Oscar needs help. Katerina reminds Cecily of her postpartum depression and how she once left her 2-month-old son home alone. Does Cecily still have the right to judge Katerina after that? This time Cecily shows no leniency and demands that Vigo tell her what was in the video. Oscar's laptop and phone have all the content erased, but DNA analysis has shown that Rasmus is 24% related to Ruby's unborn child. Still reeling from the shock, Cecily tells Angel that it was because of Oscar that Ruby voluntarily passed away. Angel simply can't believe it. Tearfully, Cecily calls Mike and asks him to come home immediately. Oscar arrives at the Winter Jens' house. Keeping calm, Cecily tells him to leave. Oscar states that Ruby had no right to say no to him, because it was her job to love him. At that moment Mike arrives and escorts Oscar home. Rasmus, now aware of everything, doesn't know what to do. What advice as a lawyer can Mike offer in this situation? If Oscar is charged, it would destroy his life. Mike doesn't know what to say and leaves, while Rasmus hugs his son. Now Cecily understands why Ruby wanted to leave the Hoffmans' home. And Cecily feels deep regret that she did not trust her husband. He promises that everything will be okay. Katerina categorically refuses to attend Ruby's funeral. Rasmus accuses her of failing in raising their son. Rasmus has arranged for Oscar to be transferred to a private school. He also doesn't care what his wife thinks, she will go to the funeral, want it or not. Katarina cries, realizing she has disappointed her husband. She tried so hard to be a good wife, but nothing she did was ever enough. One way or another, they must all now live with this. The church fills with people mourning Ruby's untimely death. When the Hoffmans enter the church, all eyes turn to them. It's clear that no one is glad to see them there, finding their presence inappropriate. They are forced to leave. Ruby was so young, she should have had her whole life ahead of her, but it was so unjustly cut short. Since Oscar is not yet 15, he won't be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Moreover, there is no concrete evidence that he acted against Ruby's will. In fact, Oscar might be seen as the victim here, not Ruby, as he is a minor. Mike will be Oscar's lawyer. Outraged, Cecily brings up the video Viggo mentioned. Rasmus states that if there's no video, there's no evidence. Mike agrees. Carl tells Aisha that the Hoffmans plan to frame the situation so that Ruby is the criminal and Oscar the victim. Therefore, the police should leave the case to social services. But Aisha cannot allow Oscar to go unpunished. Cecily doesn't like what's happening. Mike feels powerless, this is his job as a lawyer. Either way, there is no direct evidence, and Mike doesn't want Viggo to testify against Oscar in court. It would be wrong to involve a child in all this. Cecily doesn't know what to do. Maybe Mike is right, and they should put this whole thing behind them. Cecily makes the difficult decision to fire Angel so they can both focus on raising their own children. But Angel is upset, as she really needs this job. Still, Cecily doesn't change her mind, unwilling to let the relationship between Viggo and Angel cross boundaries, as it had between Ruby and Oscar. Besides, the fact that Angel lied on her application and accepted money from Viggo is already reason enough for dismissal. Through tears, Angel tells Cecily that she's just lucky. But Angel's world is a completely different one. Later, Angel says goodbye to Viggo. They hug for a long time. Viggo says he loves her. The boy is left alone in Angel's now empty room. From then on, Cecily and Mike try to devote more attention to parenting. The Hoffmans invite them to say goodbye to Oscar. He's leaving for boarding school the next day. Cecily doesn't want to go, but Mike insists they can't just ignore their neighbors, even after everything that's happened. Cecily receives a call from Aisha, who says that if Viggo doesn't testify in court, the case will be closed. Aisha finds it unacceptable that the Hoffmans are covering up the abuse committed by their son. But Cecily refuses to continue cooperating with the police, believing it's what's best for Viggo. Unexpectedly, Oscar approaches Cecily. He knows she hates him. Cecily assures him that she doesn't, that it's his parents who are to blame. Oscar replies that his father had nothing to do with it and that his mother constantly fought with Ruby because of him. And then Ruby disappeared. That evening, the Winter Jenses and the Hoffmans have dinner together. Katarina apologizes to Cecily for everything. But Cecily needs answers. Did Katarina know what her son had done? And how did Ruby really die? Katarina only says that she's a good mother and would do anything to protect her child. Then Katarina joins the men, leaving Cecily standing in stunned silence.